皆さん、また来てくださってありがとうございます。こちらはマンハッタンニューヨーク月曜日の朝です。ということでね、最近のトランプさんのトゥルーソーシャルのとこに、どうして私こんなにリードしてるのに、ディベート行かなくていいんじゃないっていう感じで書いてあったんですよ。だから、すっごい楽しみにしてたんですけど、去年ぐらいから去年ぐらいからこのディベートすごい楽しみにしてたんですけど、ひょっとしてトランプさん来ないみたいなんですよね。なんとなくその文章からいくと、いや、私こんなに引き離してるから、わしゃ行く必要あるんかいみたいなことがトゥルーソーシャルに書いてあったから、ひょっとしたら水曜日のディベートにはトランプさん抜きの7人、今のところ7人の人たちでやるのかなっていう感じになってきたので、今日はね、注目のね、人がね、私全然ペアアテンションしてなかったんですけど、一回そのティム・スコットさんっていう人の動画を私乗っけて、結構なかなかいいですよねとかって言ってたんですけど、もうはるかに私ね、今この人の動画を見てからね、タッカー・カールソンとあとアクティビストに対してすごく上手に切り返してるところと、あと別ので3つの番組ぐらいでこの人が話してるのを見たんですね。この人すごい切れ者で、私今はね、ディサントスさんよりこの人の方が上だなと思ってるんですね。でトランプさんのこともすごく自分にとっては師匠だみたいな感じで言ってて、全くトランプさんに対する批判がゼロなんですよ。で、本当に自分はトランプさんから教わりたいし、もし自分が仮に大統領になったとしたら、もう本当に喜んでトランプさんの指導を受けたいみたいな感じで言ってて、しかもこういうとんでもないチャージを絶対にトランプさんを解放するみたいな感じでおっしゃってたんですね。だからもうすごく頭がよくって、一個もやっぱりトランプさんを敵に回すっていうか批判するっていうことは、熱狂的なトランプサポーターを全部敵に回すっていうことだから、これやったら絶対ダメなんですよね。でプラスすごくね明確なんですよ、すべての答えが。で私これだけすごい明確なことをパキパキパキッと言える人ってどういうバックグラウンドなんだろうと思ったら、生物学かなんかでハーバードを出た後に法科の博士号を今度はイェールで取ってて、でファイナンシャルヘッジファンドかなんかで少し稼いでバイオテックの会社を自分で持たれてみたいな感じで、しかもアクティビスト活動家っていうのことが書いてあったから、いやちょっと怖いと思ったら、その活動の内容はアンティウォーク、今のちょっと狂った極左のああいうのに対する反対っていう感じで、すごくすごいこの人いいかもと思ったんですよ。でトランプさんは別格で今トップで、絶対にこの人以外共和党から大統領選出る人いないと思うから、ひょっとして彼が副大統領みたいな風になったらすごいんじゃないかなと思って、そうなると副大統領っていう風にもしトランプさんが指名したら、この人とカマラ・ハリスとディベートしますよね。それがもうめっちゃ見たいなと思って、皆さんに前回カマラ・ハリスがどういう人かちょっと分かってもらえたと思うので、このね2人ともバックグラウンドがインドじゃないですか。スマートなインド対アンポンターなインドの対決っていうのがちょっと見てみたいなと思って、ということでね、今日はねちょっとまた話長くなっちゃったんですけど、ラワスワミさん乗っけてみます。皆さんの目でご覧ください。どうぞ。
She busted out her favorite her geek self to talk about once again.
No.
Her most favorite
No.
thing.
No, not
Yes,
Venn
it-
diagrams. No.
Yes.
Stop it.
I can't stop, won't stop. Because
Okay, so this is where you're gonna hear the geek in me. I love Venn diagrams.
Oh my god. I can't.
Those three circles. Sometimes there's more.
Geek out.
And you can tell so much if you just look at where the intersections are.
God.
Can't stop, you guys. You can't.
It's the intersection of crazy town. She is crazy, this woman.
She's just a nutcase. She loves those Venn diagrams, though, man. She loves them.
That is the best they could do, you guys. That is the best that Democrats could do, was her.
The former president pleading not guilty today at his historic third arraignment now on charges of trying to use his authority to stay in power. The question is, will the new charges actually change his primary opponents and the way they handle Trump on the trail? Joining me now, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you for joining us this evening. Vivek, I will say, today you did announce at a campaign event that you would not actually say that Biden was legitimately elected. And I wonder why it is you are reluctant to acknowledge that.
Well, precisely what I said in New Hampshire earlier today is that big tech is actually the one that interfered with the election. There is good evidence, I'm data-driven, strong polling data that said that if that Hunter Biden laptop story had been released rather than suppressed on the eve of that election, that likely would have changed the electoral result. That is hard fact in this country. Now from the New York Times to...
You know what? I want to say, Vivek, you just now got some points from me, bro. You got some points from me. If a lot of people on Twitter would have seen that information, Biden would not be the president right now.
That likely would have changed the electoral
Yes, it
result.
would've.
That is hard fact in this country. Now from the New York Times to CNN, we'll admit that was true and grounded in fact. And a lot of corruption that was laid to bear then, that was systematically suppressed. And I think that is the single greatest form of election interference risk that we face in this election as well, is technology companies suppressing valid information that the voters need to access to make informed decisions. And I stand by that.
Well, Vivek, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll, of course, leave it to voters to decide what was going to be the reason that they would choose a particular candidate. But because you say you are evidence-driven and you want to make sure that the voters have all the information that they need to make an informed decision about who will represent them, do you agree that it should have an opportunity, these cases against Donald Trump should have the opportunity to have airing before the actual voters? They have a decision as either the jurors or also as voters to know how they should actually select their next president.
So I want to say something very clearly. My self-interest would be to have Donald Trump eliminated from competition. I'm polling at third in the Republican national primary right now. And you know what? If Trump were out of the way, it'd be a lot easier for me. But I don't want to win this election that way. On principle, not on politics.
Thank you
on
for saying
principle.
that.
We should not be a country where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents in the midst of an election. And Laura, I have a basic rule of thumb. If you are going to indict a political opponent in the middle of an election, it better darn well not be based on a novel, untested legal theory. Yet that's exactly the case in each of the three indictments. I think it is no accident that you see three independent indictments on novel legal theories coming down at the exact same time during an election. And I think that this is going to be a grave threat to public trust in the justice system going forward.
Good job,
I'm in this
man.
race to unite the country, and I'm sad to say that as our next president, which I expect to be, it's going to make my job that much more difficult to unite this nation when we have set this precedent of the politicization and weaponization of our justice system.
Will get some pushback, I think, from a great variety of people, is this notion of the unprecedented nature of what we're talking about. And I want to home in yet again on this point. Conspiracy is quite a common charge to have, but also First Amendment and protected speech is something that's
Conspiracy
so
to commit
foundational.
what, Lauren?
Oh,
You know better.
Well,
Do know better. Thank you so much, Vivek. She do know better.
I do know better, which is why I stated it quite precisely, that it is, in fact, a commonly actually charged crime. But the actual indictment does outline what the allegations are here. But my point is with respect to the protected speech. Certainly, there are the Supreme Court cases that
Get
talk
her, Vivek.
about the fact that protected and political speech is sacrosanct. But the notion here, they allege that it went beyond that in the form of action and conspiring to try to undermine the peaceful transition of power. And for that, I wonder, you've made it very clear that you intend and hope to be able to, if you are the president of the United States, to pardon Donald Trump. Do you think that the American people have a right, however, for the justice process?
Yes, the American people have a right for the justice process of what's happening in the office right now.